Town of Cedar Lake Planning Commission meeting for December 7th, 2022 to order. Stand and pledge allegiance to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan is absent. Mr. Foreman?
Present.
Mr. Sharp?
Here.
Ms. Stetauer is absent. Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Capuro is absent. Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Salatas?
Present.
Ms. Abernathy? Present. And Ms. Hyduk is present.
Okay. Old business. Harvest Creek, formerly Silver Meadows, preliminary plat for a 98-lot subdivision and rezone. Owner petitioner Diamond Peak Group LLC, 1313 White Hawk Drive, Crown Point, Indiana. 46307. The vicinity is 9210 West 155th Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner requesting a preliminary plat for a 98-lot subdivision and rezone from agriculture to PUD. Good evening, Jack.
Good evening, Jack Halls from DBG, representing the petitioner on this project. We've had some conversations with staff in the last week, and we would, I think, request a deferral from your December Plan Commission meeting and be asked to be put on your January Plan Commission. We'll be here in early January for the work study and hopefully have some progress to report for you.
Okay. Anybody want to entertain Jack with a motion?
It's a work session.
I don't think we need one.
It's just a work session.
No motion.
Yeah, just
I think
let me
that's
know what
I agree with it.
what
I
the
agree.
status is.
You know, but go ahead and defer.
Okay, you're deferred.
Perfect. Thank you. So we just want to be on the agenda for. Correct.
Okay.
In 2 weeks now.
Forward.
That's what we asked, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's in writing too.
Okay.
New business, Birchwood Farms Plan Unit Development Amendment, owner Hanover Development LLC, 8051 Wicker Avenue, Suite A, St. John, Indiana, 46373. Petitioner Olthoff Homes,
Thank you.
Jeff Yatsko, 80151 Wicker Avenue, Suite A, St. John, Indiana, 46373. Vicinity is 12412 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting an amendment to the PUD.
Good evening, Jeff Yatsko, Olthoff Homes. At the next meeting, we're going to be asking for a minor PUD amendment to Birchwood Farms. There's been a title issue that has popped up, and therefore, what I show with the handout I just handed you has an area highlighted in green, and that lots 1 and 2 used to sit on top of that green area. We discovered that piece of property was what we thought was deeded to us. It was also deeded to CL Vending. So we have decided that we are just going to remove those 2 lots altogether out of Birchwood. We're actually going to remove that 100-foot piece out of Birchwood. So what's remaining from those 2 lots will just become part of the outlot, and then we will just have, again, 2 less lots in the community.
Is that going to be a problem for the PUD? No issues? All right.
You're noticing public hearing?
I'm sorry?
Are you noticing a public hearing to amend the PUD?
I thought it was a minor.
I don't have a problem with that, I just want to know the plan steps.
I did not get them any legal notice for publication because the last PUD amendment we had was a minor ministerial act and we did not advertise for that one.
And you don't need to for a minor, I just asked.
No, yeah, you don't need it.
Okay.
If we have title, you can't be in there. I didn't know if there was a legal aspect to it.
No, they're following the right path.
Okay.
So the Coffin Business Park is CL Vending? If you look at your drawing?
Yeah, where it says Coffin Business Park, that is CL Vending.
Gotcha.
And then CL Vending actually bought that north parcel
Yes.
where the old house was.
Okay.
So that's how this all came up. When they just purchased that recently, we found out that there was a title problem.
Gotcha. Okay.
We don't like title problems, but unfortunately, there's a title problem.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, we're gonna do minor, no public notice. Okay. Thank you.
We'll see you at the
Yeah.
public
See you in
meeting.
2 weeks.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna skip by railside rezone. We're gonna hold that to the end for Mr. Viss. Item number 3, Tarver Concept Plan, owner Eddie Tarver Jr., 1348 Benton Street, Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana, 46403. And Michael Phillips, petitioner Eddie Tarver Jr., 1348 Benton Street, Gary, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity is 7020 West 139th Place, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan for a one-lot subdivision. Petitioner here.
I don't see them. This is on your agenda last month. I was directed to send them notification to appear this month to present their plans. I sent them notification after that meeting. I've received no communication from them. This is also a property on the unsafe, and I've not received anything from them regarding that process either. At this time, I'm going to request that the Plan Commission allow me to just remove it from the agenda until they make communication with the town.
Everybody all right with that?
Absolutely.
I'm fine with that.
We need to handle that at the next public meeting then, right? Or can we just remove it here ministerially?
She can remove it ministerially because of the lack of attendance and communication, and perhaps a nudge to the Unsafe Building Commission then to move it along.
Okay.
It will be,
That'll
it will
come
be
up at the
moved
next
along.
unsafe.
Thanks. Item number 4, Cedar Lake RE LLC Concept Plan, owner petitioner Cedar Lake RE LLC, 11131 Fairbanks Court, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307. Vicinity is 9717 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan for a development of a Culver's Restaurant.
It's on.
Oh, good, very good. Good evening, everybody. My name is John Terpstra. I'm actually only here as John Terpstra, representing, well, myself as Culver's. We would like to open a Culver's restaurant in 9717 West 133rd Avenue, which is the old Chase Bank building. We would raise the building and then rebuild and develop that property into a Culver's restaurant. I was able to have a preliminary meeting with Mr. Oliphant about water hookup and drainage. We are in the process of getting all of that squared away. I did retain Don Toringa to go ahead and do the engineering on that, someone that you all are familiar with, I believe. I have an architect and civil out of Indianapolis, North Indianapolis, on a Culver's franchise recommendation to go with them. They will be getting stamps from the state, and right now, tonight, I think we're just here to lay out really the preliminary concept plan for the site. As you'll see on your screen in front of you, there will be 2 points of ingress and egress from 133rd Avenue. The front of the building itself will be facing west, and the east side will then be the drive area. As you can see, we'll have cars that queue in lanes, which is pretty similar to what our other locations have, such as in St. John and Crown Point. We also built a new one in Hammond, right outside of the Cabela, so if you're ever up that way, that's likely going to be your best representative of what this restaurant will look like. There are 46 planned parking stalls, which should be sufficient to carry the capacity that we typically see at a restaurant of this type in this demographic. We are hopeful that we will start and it will grow. I know that there's a lot of residential development happening in the town of Cedar Lake, which is super exciting. We are kitty corner from the high school, which is also exciting. We're fortunate enough to be the first employer for a lot of these kids that are in high school, and that's a real privilege for us. We take that seriously. And we love partnering with our communities. We have fundraisers quite often. We partner with local charities, and we love to be a beacon in the community that we serve. We do that in St. John, we do that in Crown Point, Highland, Hammond, Maryville, and Cherryville as well. And we would see doing nothing different here in Cedar Lake. So I'll answer any questions that you guys have, and requesting a concept plan for this evening from the Plan Commission.
Don, do you see any issues with this?
Not really. I mean, you've got the bypass lane, which is pretty key for stuff like this. We don't
Yep.
queue up and back into drive lanes, which is always good.
Yeah, the only change that we may see is that bypass lane may go from the middle to the outside, because what we have seen, if cars are queuing, they have a tendency to constrict that bypass lane, and we want to make sure that there's enough room for a safety vehicle to get through. And typically, you can nudge a little bit on the outside of the lanes rather than going through the middle of the cars. This is a site plan that's provided by Culver's Franchising up in Wisconsin, and then it's approved, and we have the ability to manipulate it as we see fit with the comments from the Plan Commission, the board, that sort of thing.
So you're gonna close off the, kind of the narrowest existing?
Yeah, so you see the three cars way on the east side there. We would just move that lane over and have the bypass lane be the far east lane. So you'd still have the bypass lane. You also see the bypass on the south side of the property as well. So that cars can pull forward and allow a safety vehicle to drive through.
I would probably recommend that your right exit point on 133rd be exit only.
From the drive-through?
Yeah,
Yep, sure, we can do that.
you're gonna have
Yeah.
traffic heading each other at
Yeah.
some point.
I agree.
But no, I mean, I think you should have plenty of parking there, I think. We might have some great issues coming on to the, Summer Winds commercial frontage to the southwest, but
Yeah, we're trying to line that up with the drive that's there now. That's in discussions with that development group. We haven't finalized any of the plans
Yeah.
there.
that's
So-
like partially public right away, I think, through there. That's
Okay.
the connection point, it's kinda weird, it's partially public, partially private, it's just
All
a
right.
very platted area.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get through that.
So if it's public, I can do whatever I want on it, right?
I think so. It's very weird through there, it's like two subdivisions coming together.
I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's a incredibly close fit to that size store, that location. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a
You're not
metro.
gonna use the drive-throughs and shoot food to people through it too?
No, actually, it's pretty cool to walk in there. I've never been in an empty bank before, and there's a vault and all kinds of safes and stuff, but I always threaten my kids that I'm gonna lock them up there if they're not good. So this one, you'll see on the concept plan, it does say Plan Metro M, and the M just stands for medium. The one in St. John is a Metro L, which is a large, so there's gonna be 2 tables and 1 booth that is not going to be in this location, that is in the St. John location. So to get it fitting nicely in here with the bypass lane for safety, with adequate parking, we had to trim it down. It's only 8 feet, so it's 8 feet shorter in depth. The kitchen and everything, that's all the same footprint, it's just the dining area that is shortened by 8 feet. And then on the front, you'll see the outside dining area. I'll talk to the Plan Commission about any variance or specific exception or special exception that we would need for that. And typically what we do there is we install a pergola and have like an overhang cedar pergola for the eating area. It looks really nice.
Cool. What's the seating capacity?
That's a great question. It's somewhere between 60 and 70.
Okay.
Yep.
But what is it, 60-70% of your business comes through drive-through, or?
It's trending, so
I don't know if that's...
it's a really weird time to gauge those metrics because COVID drove everybody through the drive-through.
Right.
And so we had a lot of pressure on drive-through. Now it's coming down a little bit. And we're finding that in the summer months, if we're near a high school, a lot of people like to come in and eat. I would say probably about 60%, 65% come through the drive-through right now.
Okay.
And I would think that's normalized by this point. But when COVID was around, it was 85, 90%. It was crazy.
Are you gonna have 2 drive-up boards then? So you have 2 drive-through lanes that merge into
Yeah,
one?
we would install one permanent menu board and order point, and then the other would have the electrical run to have a register and a tablet operator out there. So we would not have two menu boards with order points. We would have a permanent menu board and order point in the left lane. Then in the right lane, we would have a pod structure that would have electrical in it to run a register, as well as a tablet, so you can take tablet orders, and if they pay cash, that's what the register is there for.
Mr. Austin, you see any issues?
Just to make sure there's enough room for those Butterburgers. John assured me that he would do so.
I've got your picture on a poster. At one
I
of
know.
them,
I know that poster. Is Mike your brother-in-law?
He is my brother-in-law, yeah.
I coached basketball with him for
Oh, cool.
years.
Yeah, he's doing
And stuff.
he's doing the stretch lab now in St. John.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's doing pretty well with it, so.
Tell him I said hello.
I will, thank you.
No, I like what I see.
I do too.
I
No.
love seeing vacant buildings redone.
I don't like seeing.
You're
big
basically
buildings at all.
raising that place or gonna,
Yeah, it's going
No
away.
variances, no nothing they need on the front side of this that they need to know about now?
Two, the outdoor dining and the electric message board sign. Those are the only two that I'm seeing right now off the concept plan. With the update to the zoning ordinance, it was kept that electric message boards still have to go through the BZA, and outdoor dining has to go through the BZA.
You're aware of that already?
I got it now, no
Okay.
problem.
We probably need to get that out of the way too at the same time.
Yep.
And there'll be walleye on the menu?
During Lent, yes.
Okay.
Wall
Super.
supplies last.
Super, yeah, I know.
So get ready,
I know.
it goes fast.
Yeah.
And we're only allotted a specific amount based on the sales of the previous year.
Okay, I think a new store should have maybe a higher specific
Well, we
amount.
kinda cheat, so I
Okay.
can say it on the record.
No.
We can have a conversation later about that. No, from Culver's franchising, we like to order a little more and suggest that
Sure.
we should get more, so that our newer restaurants have enough supply to.
Yeah, I think that's a
service
great
the
idea.
community.
I like it.
Yeah, cool. And any recommendations to the menu, you can just shoot me an email on, okay? All right.
Anybody have anything else?
no, sir.
Awesome, I'm excited.
Nobody
Me too.
takes it.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care. Item number 5, L&L Capital Assets LLC Concept Plan, owner petitioner L&L Capital Assets LLC, 11125 Delaware Parkway, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307. Vicinity is 13310 West 133rd Drive, Sierra Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan for a rezone from R1 to RN.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Brad Lambert, Eric Lindemiller,
How's it going?
Capital Assets. The story with this,
Do you guys have the handout?
Yeah,
It's on
we're
their
looking
iPad.
electronically.
Okay, but we got handouts in case.
okay,
Yeah.
We got it on, is this what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, great. The story with this parcel, I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. Initially, Mike Yankee had come through the Planning Commission here, requesting one-lot subdivision for that parcel, which is a rather large lot. It's right across the street from like where Smith Ready Mix is there. You gotta go up that hill, and it takes a sharp turn to the south. It goes back into that area there.
It's part of the old Mills property.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
It's right
but-
there. Shows it.
But,
So
yeah.
it's next to railroad tracks.
Yeah, the front side of the subdivision is
It's
kind of
west
a,
of the railroad tracks or east of the railroad? East of the railroad tracks.
On your way to the trailer park, next,
On your way to the
across from
trailer
the
park,
Axe
yeah.
factory, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, rather large lot on the corner there, and,
I'm familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
we actually, Mr. Yankee hired us, Lambert Concrete, to put the foundation in and get the job going, and then, things went south with, the log cabin company that he had contracted with. They ended up going belly up. It was just a, bad situation, and, Mr. Yankee ended up having to, put the lot up for sale. You know, we hadn't been paid for the concrete work, so, I went to Eric and I said, hey, this is a nice lot, and it's a big lot right here in Cedar Lake. I think we can do something with this, and so we did. We purchased a lot from Mr. Yankee, and that was able to satisfy obviously the concrete work that was owing on it, and some other things that were owing on it as well. But the reason we're here is just because as we looked at that parcel and the possibilities to what we could do with it, the economics of actually trying to build a single-family home on that lot, and then build a home that would be large enough that the lot doesn't dwarf the home, but also with the kind of the way that subdivision is, to build a home that would actually be something that somebody would buy, would be large enough, would be kind of a difficult thing to pull off there. And so the more and more we looked at it, we decided we could come before the town and see if we could do something with an income property on that parcel.
So you're not talking about individual townhomes, condominiums, or anything like that, you're talking about a apartment building, basically?
Well, a fourplex building, yeah, but yeah, these certainly would be much larger than an apartment. So it would be, just a single fourplex. So four townhomes, I think probably would be a better description of the type of structure that we're building here.
So 32 upper floor, square foot, ground floor, 620?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's on that second page there.
Yeah.
That lot is elevated, and just from the viewpoint of just standing on the slab foundation right now, you can see the lake pretty well. And with this design that we went through and picked, the second story main floor there, that bay window that looks out the front is essentially the living room. And then on the other side of the unit is where you have the master bedroom. But long story short is it's going to be a really nice view. It could be a really nice view from that vantage point in the second floor living room, to be able to really see the lake very well from there. So with the garages being in the units and stuff, we just think that these would be extremely nice units, something that would attract people that would be long-term tenants and want to stay in the vicinity. If you look at page 3 there, I did basically a redrawing of the site plan, and we're if you see the area there with that's kind of got looks like the grass thatched area, that's the existing foundation as it sits on the lot. And then the gray areas around it would be the areas that where we would have to add foundation and slab to make the building the size that it needs to be to accommodate the frame of this particular structure. And then we kind of drew in a pretty large concrete driveway, and I'm going to send the bill to Eric for all the concrete work. And but no, that it would work out pretty well for them to be able to, for people to be able to drive in right off of that 133rd coming up the hill, and then wrap around to the what would be the east side of the parcel, and drive right into their right into the garages, into their driveways.
So the east side is the front?
Correct.
Yes. That's the garage side. And we tried putting it, there are so many obstacles with putting it on which side, but the other side, it's narrow and it's almost on top of the railroad tracks. So by having the garages on the front side, it allows the back side to have backyards for the people. But then also above the garage is the biggest viewpoint for the second floor that you can see the lake. So the goal was not to do this. The goal is to do this as nice as possible by putting garages in, and we even talked to all the neighbors and explained what was going on, and they were excited for it too.
But you guys are renting, you're not selling the 4 units?
Not at this point.
At least that's your plan?
Yes.
Right.
And some of it is, as I've been talking to people about it, it could even be like seasonal type people because of the garage and with boating right down the street and everything else that's coming, like, we're going for a higher, like, just someone that wants,
What's a nice.
the biggest
spot
concern for the neighbors,
in-
like, who's gonna be there? Well, we want, good tenants, good people that are gonna care about what it looks like and to maintain it.
We went through the RM zoning classification in the ordinance here, and, we are matching up with all of the requirements here.
What's the zone today, Chris?
R1.
Is it R1?
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. And with like parking area, minimum lot area, and the lot coverage and all of those things in here, seem to be matching up and meeting those permitted uses restrictions, so.
Throughout the neighborhood, there is multiple zoning already. Like across the street is commercial zoning, there's multifamily zoning, and then there's the trailer zoning on the backside. So it's a very unique neighborhood in peace. And the hope is this, improves it. Because we have on there, we're putting in sidewalks, we're gonna re-landscape the whole thing. It's even the way we're doing the driveway, it's a large, it's all concrete.
Yeah, and the way the
You
front.
know any concrete guys?
Yeah.
We'll find it here. We'll bid it out.
Yeah, in the front, the east-facing yard, the lake-facing yard, it drops off pretty severely from where the existing slab elevation is now to the street level. And but we've seen how that kind of we'd assume we would put city sidewalks on that corner too.
Curbs and sidewalks around the whole, which a lot of the neighbors love the idea of that too, because it's been, through the years, it's changed hands quite a few times.
John, does it still float over there by the viaduct?
By big rain it does.
Yes.
Is that what this is?
It doesn't go to the viaduct.
What's that?
It doesn't go to the viaduct.
Okay.
Short circuits and outlets near North Point.
Mr. Rushton, from a new zoning ordinance perspective, are there obvious issues you see with this type of project?
No, I don't see anything obvious. It's a question of what the density of the use decisions of the planning commission and the town against our new zoning map and our zoning ordinance.
You know?
It's literally that.
Say that again, Dave.
It's a call for the planning commission, town council about how this proposal matches what your zoning ordinance, replacement ordinance provides, and how you feel about increased density that is proposed. We did the zone map in March this year, I'm sorry. Identified this property R1, I guess, and that's what your thought process in planning was. So you're adding quite a bit of density against that, but you're also measuring against the parcel, against the size of the lot, and the circumstances that they presented.
I mean, Dave's right, it's a policy decision from the rezone aspect. Site plan aspect, we would require curbs and gutter and drainage and stuff like that. This one actually might require some type of retention as well, just because we have a 6-inch pipe that outlets this parcel through rear yards to the east. Don't really want to increase too much drainage to those rear yards. There's not a whole lot of swales back there at all. So
It goes down to the tracks.
Hmm?
You're saying the backside?
No, I mean, the front side of it goes through 133rd Ave or Drive, whatever you want to call it, to the east. There's a 6-inch culvert right there, and that shoots behind some of the rear lawns of Myers First Edition subdivision.
6-inch right there.
Yeah. So I mean, with the
increased use like that, it's a lot more than an R1 house would have.
Yeah, the zoning map and the zoning ordinance, I mean, I respect that document pretty heavily because of where Cedar Lake's at and where the vision is for it to be. I'm not sure that, I'll tell you what I would like to do, I'd like to go over there physically, look at it, look at the area and see what's around there. But, that's just me. I don't know what everybody else's feeling is, but I like to, my gut and my head tells me to stay pretty close to what the zoning ordinance and the zoning maps are designed to do, because there was an awful lot of effort that went into that, and it's for the preservation of the community.
Yeah, I would agree, Craig, but in this spot, I think this is an enhancement personally. I think in that location with the view of the lake, it kind of works. It's, you know, stating
I think,
what could be with the trailer park in a weird way versus trailer park, if you think about it from that regard. So I think, you know, I'm not a big fan of RM, everybody knows that, you know. We're 24% RM and RT in our town today.
if it was an HO.
Just add 4 more houses, we have 6,500 homes with sewer taps.
If it was an HOA type thing that were gonna be individually owned units, I might be a little, I mean, 'cause it's forced to be taken care of then.
Right.
And in this case, you're at the mercy of whatever happens to it in the future and with ownership. So these are the things, in my mind, that you have to be, everybody needs to be cautious about, really think these things through, because the thought process, again, I'm sure when you guys were doing the zoning maps and the zoning ordinances, was to make sure that the right thing happened in these areas in town. So I just want to, stuff like this, I'd like to be extra cautious with it. I want to look at it. I don't know how everybody, the absent members of the commission would feel about it, but.
Yeah, I'd love to look at it.
Hey, actually, don't forget we need our books too, our new zone books, printed, or Don.
Yeah.
You committed to that one.
Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, definitely, I'll go and take a look at it and,
How quick were you guys wanting to move on it?
Whatever,
Sounds better?
is when you guys say, we'll probably start going. But I like the thought of you guys seeing it, because it's a big piece of property, it's unique, it sits up high, there's a lot of stuff going on in the neighborhood, it's right up against the railroad tracks, it's got the commercial across the street, and then the storage, that you can see the storage directly from it,
It's a high piece of land.
yes, it's a high,
Yeah. and that's what we're just saying is that, you know, for it to, it really being a single-family home location, I mean, boy.
For a new build, it'd be tough to.
So there's a $400,000 home there. Yeah, that's in the lake, but it's a rough.
That's what he fell into,
gamble.
I think, a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And as big as that lot is, you know, that, I mean, it's a big lot.
It's
So it's like, it's not like you're buying one lot, it's like you're buying 3 lots.
Did you say 400,000?
For a single-family home on an R1 lot, probably.
That's cheap for Cedar Lake
Probably.
these days.
It is these days.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got a little bit of everything in that neighborhood. I'll just say that.
That's
That's
right.
what I'm saying. And so a rental like this, Airbnb, I
Yes.
envision it being Airbnb, right? I mean, it's logical.
Yeah, that's why, and we may end up going
That's
that.
why the garages, are there. And we're trying to make the garages as big as possible, because that's an attraction. It's not just,
It's a kind of miniature condos from the west side of the lake.
What I'm worried about is go to RM. What's gonna happen 20, 30 years from now? I mean, I thought we took a stance where we didn't want to rezone anything from R1 to RM. I mean, it's already bad enough that we're stuck with stuff from 2009.
Yeah.
With all these developments back in 2009, they already had RM. We're stuck with that.
If, me personally, on and or near the lake, walking distance and things like that, I think there could be some really neat things with us having the lake where RM works perfectly. Having RM in the middle of cornfields and RT and duplexes everywhere is a little monotonous. That's my 2 cents on that whole subject. But due to the fact of where this spot is and what it looks like, it sort of works. It's my gut. But like Greg said, go check out the property and see the lay of the land. I sort of know that area pretty well. I think it would be kind of a cool view for sure, overlooking the lake. I mean, you'll see it all year long, even in the summer.
So we need him to come back next work session?
Probably.
I can have him back on the work session next meeting. You guys can go take a look at the lake, hopefully have a couple more plan commission members.
Yeah,
Everybody good with that?
yeah, I am, Craig, yeah, absolutely.
I'll even try and make an effort to get out there and get pictures of the property before the next meeting too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley.
And Don's gonna have our books, did he say, for Christmas?
Yeah, he
gift?
said so,
Thanks,
that's what
Don.
Don said.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for this, will you take it, when you go look at the property?
Yeah, could I, that would help, yeah, thank you. Sometimes,
Take a look at it.
Thanks.
thank you, I like the design of it.
She has some pictures. Thank you.
Item number 6, 8120 Lake Shore Drive Concept Plan, Indiana 46323, petitioner Samuel Leonhardt. Hope I got that right.
Samuel Leonhardt,
Leonhardt, okay,
8120 Lake Shore Drive,
okay.
the old Shane.
Let me finish this up here. Mr. Leonhardt's address is 875 Berkshire Place, Crete, Illinois 60411. The vicinity is 8120 Lake Shore Drive, Cedar Lake, Indiana 46303. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan for a one-lot subdivision.
Right.
Okay.
How you doing today? I'm
Doing
Solo
good.
Business Partner. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Doing good, thanks.
Yes,
I used to have a condo across the street, I know that place quite well.
and it's very nice, I like the new deck they put on the back. Oh man, it's nice over there, it's really nice. Like I said, the place, we did get the, permit for the demo. We started the demo, started cleaning everything up.
I saw that.
Oh, good.
So, we were looking to take the next step, you know, like I said, we got dumpsters. I think we're on dumpster, I wanna say 10, but I think it's 9. There was a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff,
That
yeah.
way we can get everything cleaned out and we can get an idea where everything's at, you know, that's our goal. And that way we can start our planning and what we'd like to do.
Is your plan to save any of that structure?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a cinder block foundation, everything looks good, like I said, you know, you can take some fire, see where the fire started, I can see where the damage is at. But like I said, whatever a structural engineer comes in there and looks at and sees where it's failing or whatever, we're willing to replace, you know, and fix.
It's a cement block building.
Was this on the unsafe building list?
It was.
It is,
It
yeah.
was, it isn't now, it isn't currently?
Update item.
Update item,
It's an update
given
item.
Yep.
the new owners.
So we do have the survey and, we got all the paperwork and everything for, the building.
Yeah, because it was, in a I think it was, you guys were ready to tear it down. It was ready to be
Yeah.
torn down and, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it get that far?
I think we issued
It was
the initial
within-
demolition order.
Yeah, it was, yeah, it
There were a
was
few
close,
steps
Craig,
left.
this was in 30 days.
So we came in at the right time and,
Yeah.
we got everything taken care of, all the loans,
Hey, you got everything paid off, right?
everything's
Yeah,
satisfied,
the
yes.
paperwork's right here, the
Okay.
survey paper's right here.
Now, do you own it? You guys own it now, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
We see it's got Bob Shane as the owner
Yeah.
still, so that needs to be corrected, updated, or
Updated.
whatever.
When they filed their concept plan, they had not closed on the property yet, and Bob Shane was still the owner, so.
But you got all your paperwork and
Yes.
you're the clear owners, great,
Yeah,
great.
it's from, Chicago Title. We went to
Okay.
Chicago Title.
Okay, sure,
Okay.
Sure.
all the liens, everything's satisfied.
okay, super.
And like we said, that, Bobby Shane, he had a loan in Cedar Lake at a bank, that he owes some money, everything's all taken care of now,
Yeah.
so everybody's all paid off.
Everybody's
Okay.
happy.
Okay.
My next question is gonna be, per the new zoning ordinance, is there any issues of concern per that zoning ordinance on this particular project?
No.
None?
The rebuilding on the foundation that they talked about, no,
On the footprint?
on the footprint.
Okay. Do they need any variances or anything?
Yes. Yes.
You know you need variances already?
Yeah, I know.
You're aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else they need to be made aware of on this project?
Subdivision, yeah.
Yeah, No, they've been,
Was it a meets and bounds parcel or something?
part of it is, part of it's already platted, so the intent is they're going to clean it up, make it all one lot subdivision, and do the right-of-way dedication along Lakeshore Drive that they need to, go for the variances if they need to, and look at potentially making a better parking situation along that property. That way, you don't have the parking along the front and.
So they're gonna do a whole new site plan and the whole new
They're gonna have.
vision.
Yes, whatever it is.
Don?
Yeah, just the variances are gonna be hurdles, there's gonna be a lot of them.
Yeah.
It will be a BZA play.
Just for the record, how many, what do they need variances for, so we have everything, make sure they're aware of everything.
Minimum front rear.
Setbacks.
Setbacks.
Sidewalks.
Yeah, right from the front corner to the street, from the back to the.
Yeah.
Waivers and
And there's gonna be, some engineering waivers most likely. There's no tension on the site, I mean, there's gonna be, it's a very legal non-conforming lot that people
Yeah.
are burned down.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to look at it, see what you guys are planning on doing, we can go from there.
And you are gonna have a structural engineer look at it to make sure that the structure's viable?
Right.
You haven't done that yet, is that scheduled?
No, that's in line next.
Yeah,
We just wanna come here to the meeting and see what's the next steps.
we had to get everything out of there, and we had to get all that debris out of there.
You're still getting some stuff, there's still some
Yes.
stuff, okay,
See,
okay.
we have full-time jobs and everything, so.
Oh, I understand.
We're doing it much, I mean,
I understand.
I'll be back there
Yep.
before I go to work tomorrow.
Sure.
So,
So what's the end game here? What's it gonna be when?
Three Stooges.
Yeah.
no, we're gonna name it
Primo's,
Two
no.
Stooges, no?
No, we're thinking, the name we came up with was probably, Lake Shore Bar and Grill, because we do wanna bring food over
You
there.
gonna try to bring food in?
Yes.
You know,
Because I own another restaurant in Linwood,
Okay.
Bar and Grill, and I want to bring pizza and beef sandwiches and some good stuff over here.
because we already know everything's up and growing over here, I live over here.
It's gonna need a better setup than it had, 'cause that's how it burnt out.
We wanna
Oh,
deliver,
yeah, for sure.
we wanna deliver food with drones.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Sounds like one of your ideas.
Yeah, or a zip line.
Or a zip
Drones
line,
work. They can deliver meals, they can deliver food. So, but we know this place is up and coming, I could just see all the excitement around here, I mean, like I said, the Culvers, my son goes to school there, he goes to Culvers at St. John, I'd rather he didn't drive so far and he gets to go, you know. So, we're excited, and there's some good food, so.
So they've been made aware of all the challenges and
Yeah.
We're okay with it, we're okay.
We will also need a more substantial, probably concept plan or rendering.
Yeah,
That way we
yeah.
can more identify what exactly is gonna be
Gonna look
required.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Parking.
Inside and out.
We
Parking
want it,
Cycling.
we want it modern as possible. We want it to make sure it looks modern. Definitely want to change. We don't want it to look like a haunted house. It's gonna change. See
Okay.
the
No haunted
cover,
house?
everything else changed. We want it to be modern as all that.
How about one of those 1950 diners?
Hey,
Would that fit?
I think that'd be cool. Car shows and all that, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to go to one when they used to roll blade food out. That was awesome. I remember that when I was a little kid. That was the coolest thing ever.
Get old Guy Fieri in here.
well, if staff doesn't have any issues, engineering has a few issues that he's made them aware of. We had no legal issues. I'd say get to work on that concept plan,
Okay.
get that
Yeah,
straightened out, get that structural,
That's gonna be important.
that structural engineering inspection done. And, start working on your variances. I wouldn't do that till after the structural engineering thing is done.
That's not a problem.
And site plan. We need some type of concept site plan to see what you wanna do with parking, and parking should be a big deal, there's not enough parking there right now.
For sure, yeah, and it comes with an extra parcel inside.
Yeah, I
We
saw
definitely
that.
wanna make everything asphalt, make everything parking, and whatever needs to be done, you know, for code, that's what we wanna do. We wanna make sure if you gotta drive through.
You're gonna become good friends with Ashley.
We already have, yes.
I would say that structural inspection is the first step,
I'll
see
take
where
care
you're
of
at
it.
with that.
Take care of
'cause-
it.
Is there a full basement in that thing?
Yes, it is. It's
Oh,
like 6-foot ceilings, it's like a dungeon. But,
Yeah, I bet.
I thought it had a basement.
yeah, it's everything down there is solid. You go down there, everything looks fine, the floor joists, everything's solid, so.
You leave the pool table in, or did you throw that out?
Oh, man, we threw
They're all out.
Saved a couple plaques.
There were 2 pool tables in there.
It's great.
Was there 2?
Oh, yeah, the slate's heavy.
Okay, yeah.
That slate don't melt.
I guess we'll see you when developments start happening, I suppose. Do we need to have a timeline on this?
We're gonna need a more substantial concept plan from
Okay.
them once they have an idea of the structural engineer's report, so that way we can continue
We'll call
to
tomorrow.
go through it.
Were there contingencies from the unsafe building commission on a,
No, they didn't put any contingencies on their interior cleanup permits, they've got that for a year, and they've been working quicker than that. But other than that, they've moved it to an update item at this time because they've been forthcoming, they got the property cleaned up, and they're showing a real effort to actually make it safe and not unsightly.
okay. I just want to have all the information necessary to move forward.
But it was close,
Thank you.
but not enough.
I got one
It
other
was
thing.
close.
What your survey doesn't show, those 2 concrete manholes in your northwest corner, there's a very large culvert that runs along your north property line, and I think there's a blind bend in it where you hit your lots 8 and 9 that turns towards the condos to the south. It's an old CMP culvert, it's probably 2 inches, that runs underneath your property.
Okay.
That may prohibit something you do in the future. Just keep pop some manholes and follow it. I think I walked through it once upon a time, but it's big.
No, yeah, we understood that when we took it on, we were like, you know, it's a great opportunity.
That line OHU is?
It's big enough for you to walk through?
It's big. Yeah, so when we did the Shades project 10 years ago, I remember walking through it.
Well, that makes
That
it-
was its primary outfall.
It's necessary
But
then.
it's still connected.
By the fence?
Goes kind of running
On
out.
the fence line, gotcha.
Yeah, that was a major,
Holy cow,
Monster.
I didn't know that
that's
was
what
there.
kept that subdivision from flooding. That
That was
call,
the-
I remember that. It was massive, man. I didn't know it was that big, but I thought 48 inches.
It's not even bigger than that.
Wow.
Huh.
We've got
Well,
a plan.
You guys got your work cut out for you.
Yeah. Good luck, seriously.
Thank you, we enjoyed it. All right, you guys have a good
Make sure
night.
that engineering, that
Keep
structural.
communicating
We'll
with
do it right
staff.
now, right away.
Okay,
Thank you, guys. Have a
Look
great
forward
night.
to seeing your concept.
yeah.
Item number 7. 9720 West 133rd Avenue Concept Plan, owner Howard and Susan L. Skorka, 15714 Colfax Street, Lowell, Indiana, 46356. Petitioner is Boyer Construction Group, Corp., 9901 Express Drive, Highland, Indiana, 46322. The vicinity is 9720 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan for a rezone.
Hi, Russ Posen with DVG team, actually the civil engineer on this, and actually we've got Bruce Boyer here, Boyer Construction. Obviously, we're here to talk about concept for the site, for the rezone, but there's actually quite a few things we might as well get out on the table.
Sure.
There'll be some things like, obviously, we're gonna come here eventually for subdivision, for site plan, you know, we wanna, take the 2 parcels, but change it up for 2 lots to subdivide. And there's
Are
some
these meets
variances.
and bounds parcels as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just 2 parcels, yeah, meets and bounds. So we'll make a subdivision. So what we have here, so I think everybody's probably pretty familiar with the location here. It's just right there by the school. There are 2 parcels. Right now, the west parcel is zone B1. The east parcel is zone B3. We're gonna wanna zone the east parcel to B1. That fits better with the, you know, when we subdivide it, it actually, we can adhere to the B1, you know, width of the lot, the size of the lot, things like that. And permitted uses, we're intending to meet all permitted uses. The west parcel to be subdivided to a lot is actually gonna be a Centier Bank. And then the east is going to, we wanna create it as just a commercial. I think generally anything special about that you're thinking of?
Just retail building?
Retail building?
So the small building that's still on that property, that's getting...
Demoed.
Gonna be
Everything that'll be there is gonna be demolished. There's, you know, 2 existing drives that'll be adjusted. That's our intent. Yeah, you can see from the site plan, you know, the west is, we'll have, actually a total of 2 entrances, and there's 2 entrances that are actually a part of these 2 parcels, where we are just shifting them. what we're gonna do is we're gonna have cross-access agreements between the Centier Bank property and the East Commercial property. That way, because from the size of the building that we're proposing, 70 by 40, on the east lot, we can get, what we're showing is, 13 spaces, on the west one, 15. So, to the size of the building, we need, if we share the parking, we have enough parking for, per ordinance, for both parcels. Some other interesting things here, again, the rezone, I think, is, in my opinion, probably pretty easy, considering it's already a B1 on the west. But, as we'll bring up, we're gonna ask for a bunch of variances. Parking in the front yard setback, the east parcel, but to be the east lot, we're gonna need to encroach on the, rear yard setback. On the east property, that is the east of this property is zoned RM, which requires a 15-foot, side yard setback. We're gonna be proposing about a 7-foot setback. We'll still be, lining that east property with, a row of evergreens real tightly, wound here. And, but we need the encroachment to really make this property work. And I kind of have some pictures here. I mean, I think if everybody's familiar with the property, that is a private, this road right here is, the road it's a private drive that gets back to the, RM development. So what our neighbors will see is just more trees adjacent to their drive. Our neighbor to the east, will not really be impacted really in any way, in my opinion, because their building is far north of our property, and we'll have a nice clean row of, dense evergreens to really look nice, from a landscaping perspective of this property. Like I said, we'll be subdividing, there are, again, we're gonna get out of the open, we'll be going for variances. I think from a Don's perspective, I would actually like to hear some thoughts about drainage in this area. I mean, this is a kind of a developed site that is redeveloped. I know we are re-subdividing, and part of the ordinance is to provide detention. Are we going to be still adhering to that in this area? I'm not sure if there's a regional detention in this area or not.
Not unless you get an engineering waiver.
Okay.
So you gotta do some work to see what he needs there, right?
There's not a really regional pond that's really dedicated.
Don't we own part of that pond to the north towards the water tower? Or is that all owned by Hanover Central?
That's all Hanover Central.
Okay.
Yeah, more of a regional, like a regional, but that's also the only pond for that entire subdivision.
The worst case scenario, you could do, retention underneath a drive. It's not cheap, but DeMont State Bank did that, on their lot in order to use all of it as parking drive, non-pervious surface, et cetera, so that's kind of what they opted for. But I don't think that's the best solution in the world.
Correct,
but it's a
correct.
solution.
Again, just to be, because this is a, work session, in this area, if we utilized, instead of true detention, like a hydrodynamic separator to get water quality, in there, is this an area of town that makes sense in, or that is not necessary? I'm just kind of curious if that's something that would be entertained.
We've never gone, that I'm aware of, a full waiver, unless you're immediately adjacent to the lake.
Okay.
Which is the only way that we've kind of done that trade-off for a hydrodynamic separator. I think Lighthouse is one of those, cases. For this one, there is a section in the ordinance that if it's 80% existing impervious, you can provide it for a 2-year event, but I don't think you're at 80. 80 is larger than
No,
I
we're
think.
No, yeah, I'm pretty aware. I looked at that prior.
So, that would most likely be the lowest I would recommend going, and even then, you'd have to provide a pretty good hardship. You're increasing impervious quite a bit.
Sure.
Probably about half, maybe 50% now.
Yeah, because this property, there's, a lot going on. Again, just to get this to, obviously it's it's vacant, but it's, you know, it's,
I like it, I think it's great.
yeah, I think it's a good product that we're gonna bring, a nice Centier Bank, a nice
Yeah.
commercial development. Bruce Boyer here develops very nice properties. So I think it's a win-win. However, obviously, as I'm looking at my orders, do my due diligence, there's a lot of variances I'm going after, and that's why I like, to be here at the work session to make sure, I kind of get it all out there and kind of understand where the town's at.
I like to make sure everybody leaves knowing what they need and what they need to do.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, at that point, I know I got a lot of variances to do and things like that, but I'd love to hear from you guys if you have questions for Bruce.
Do you have any concerns on this particular
I'm
item?
concerned, but every time I hear we got a lot of variances and a lot of this, a lot of that, I think PUD is the path to go with, and then commercial PUD. That includes the last one that we just left. Same concept, commercial PUD gives flexibility to the engineers, to the site plan process itself. Walks us out of, having a lot of variances.
You can also range in the PUD in the new zoning ordinance, right? But it was supposed to be a maximum of 10 acres before.
We took that out.
I took it out, right?
Yeah, this would fit.
Is Vito's going by?
Excuse me?
Vito's is going by.
Vito's is going, yes.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Bruce?
No,
No clashes with the new, I'm sorry, no clashes with the new zoning ordinance at all besides for the variances and the potential to have to do a PUD, nothing.
Yeah, a bank is a permitted use in B1, office, restaurant, things like that, retail, that's normal.
I thought that, I'm just making sure, because I'm not completely familiar with that thing yet, and I'm not supposed to be in this seat tonight, so.
So we're gonna have two existing entrances, right?
Yes, and I'm
You're
just
gonna have two
shifting
new
them.
ones though, right? So we're
No,
gonna have two
shifting
new
them.
curb cuts?
I am shifting it, so I will, actually, there are 3 entrances, no, there's 2, there's 2 entrances, I am gonna have 2 proposed entrances, but I'm moving them.
So we're gonna have 2 new curb cuts, is my point.
2 new curb cuts, yes,
And 2 replacements.
correct. I'm putting curb in, I'm soft cutting curb.
Gotcha.
So bank's gonna be in one, what's gonna be in the other one? You got,
we don't have any fixed use, I would like to say we have been in discussion with Italian Ice to try and keep them there if we can, in some form
Oh,
of fashion.
okay. So what's the size of that other building? Is it 70 by?
2,800 square feet.
2,800 square feet.
So 70 by 40, is that what it is? Okay, okay.
I just wanted to point out that Mr. Austin made a very good point, and we're very familiar with commercial PUD, so I think that's a great option for us to pursue.
To explore, okay.
We can accomplish a lot of things that are PUD, rather than a whole list of.
that might make it easier to redevelop this particular parcel.
Yeah.
We're fine with that. Like Russ said, we're gonna have cross-access, cross-parking agreements and restrictions and things like that, so we can incorporate everything into a PUD.
Into one, okay, that seems to fit.
Very good.
So, on that note, right now, we're scheduled for the December 21st rezoning meeting. I guess give us, a few days to verify and digest, and obviously we might be switching our petitions.
Okay, I see, sure.
Russ, to clarify, tonight's a concept plan for the rezone, to
Correct.
get feedback.
Correct.
There's no advertisement done for a rezone at this point in time.
Okay, just make sure that's why you're here.
The rezone definitely doesn't conflict with the zoning ordinance, correct? Because
Does
they're
not.
going
In fact,
back.
that makes most sense for what we're trying.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll be rezoning to a PUD, so it's
Yeah.
something different.
Even the B1 still makes sense,
Yeah, for sure.
however it shakes out.
What about the moratorium?
That's part of why this is also a concept plan, because with the moratorium in place, we still wouldn't be able to act on this in 2 weeks.
We'll have a report for you about that tonight.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah, we're actually gonna be listening to that, because it's important to us.
Yeah, very important.
Good stuff.
Looks good.
Yeah, I like it a lot, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can't tell you what you need, and it doesn't sound like we know until you figure out what you're gonna do. whether-
Great, but no, I love the feedback.
Like the rail side?
You can
Yeah.
get me enough.
We're gonna change it.
Oh, that much quicker than I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, when people come in with a nice,
Now we're backing up to item number 2. Real estate rezone preliminary plat. Owner Hen Holdings LLC, 10702 West 141st Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is Vislaw, P.O. Box 980, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Vicinity is 10702 West 11th Street Avenue. Is that a typo?
Yeah, 141st.
141st, that's what I think.
My apologies.
That's okay.
They caught your test after.
That's exactly what it was.
That's right.
Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a rezone from agriculture to planned unit development, PUD, and a preliminary plat for a 29-lot subdivision. Good evening, Mr. Viz.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for accommodating my conflicting meeting schedule. I appreciate it.
It's all right, it happens to me all the time.
Okay, all right. Well, when you figure out to be in two places at once, let me know. Good evening, Planning Commission. Good to be with you here this evening. As the chairman has indicated, this is a PUD submission on behalf of my clients, Hen Holdings, Nathan Viss, on behalf of Vislaw for the petitioner. I will take you through not the specific detailed guts, but what I think are the highlights here for us to have dialogue on as we continue to work towards the final PUD for approval. Preliminarily on the front, what you should see is a map. I've outlined in blue a couple of items that we're going to reference back to. So this is a 29-unit commercial development, and what we are proposing is an M1 classification for the lots in the back. I've issued a bifurcation line right in the middle between lots 5 and lots 27. So lots to the north would be M1 classification, lots to the south would be a B3 classification. You see 3 outlots for drainage located throughout. The other item that I want to highlight your attention to, because this impacts some of the setbacks that we're going to be asking for, is if you look on the east side of that map, I've written water easement. There is a water easement that was granted prior to my clients acquiring the property that runs along the eastern, or would that be the western edge? Western. I'll get my directions here. Along the western edge. So that would be along the western edge, and that runs about 30 feet in width. So that is going to impact some of the setbacks that we're asking for. I just want to bring that to your attention as we start talking about some of the setbacks that are within the PUD. We can turn the page. What we've got here is just a standard ordinance. These first 5 pages are the classical language that we typically find with the PUD ordinance here in the town of Cedar Lake, so no need to draw specific attention to any of that. And we can turn our attention then to page 6, which is the start of the PUD design standards and particular covenants. Turning to page 7, what we've got is a variety of definitions. Those are self-explanatory. And then really starting on page 8 is what I'd like to draw your attention to. Purpose of this declaration is to develop and construct a quality mixed-use commercial development combining commercial lots of both B3 and M1 zoning developments for a total of 29 lots and 3 stormwater detention outlots, as well as underneath 3.1 there, section D. We're proposing that the 3 detention lots would be transferred to the town of Cedar Lake for ownership and maintenance upon their completion, upon a review of kind of the drainage in the area. Not only are these detention lots of asset to these particular lots, but as well as to the general drainage that's in that particular area. So my client will be requesting that upon his completion of all the public improvements, that would be remitted over to the town to maintain. Turning our attention next to section 4, permitted uses. As we've indicated, there's a B3 zone and an M1 zone. What we've outlined, try to be as specific as possible, is a broad array of those businesses that would automatically be allowed to move into the B3 zone. And this is taken really right out of the handbook or the zoning code for the town of Cedar Lake, as well as took a look at some adjacent communities. We tried to be as detailed as possible as to what would automatically be allowed in a B3 zone to make it easier for a business that's looking to invest in the area to be allowed access into this particular development. Turning to page 10, what we've got is prohibited uses, anything which emits obnoxious odors, fumes, etc., anything that's primarily being used as warehousing, refining, smelting, pawn shop, flea market, salvage stores, and then obviously any adult use establishments. And then we've also added in caveat that any businesses that aren't allowed by town code but want to go there still have the ability to go before the Plan Commission and seek approval.
Secondarily then, to the north, the M1 zone. What we've got here is outlined specific types of businesses that we anticipate would automatically be allowed. Again, this is taken directly out of the Town of Cedar Lake zoning handbook, as well as a review of adjacent communities and all uses that are allowed on B3 lot lists. And we've got some proposed limited or prohibited uses outlined on page 11. Turning then to the middle of page 11, lot sizes. I think one of the key things that we'd like to implement here, a bit unique, but I think it's going to be of interest, especially my clients have already been approached by some developers and interested businesses, is if they're going to purchase adjacent lots, whether 2 or more, that they automatically be allowed to work them together, join them together. They don't have to come back before this body or the zoning body. They can automatically do that. And I'm definitely happy to work with Mr. Oshin here to see if he is content with my language or if he has some additional language that he would suggest that we work in here. But it's my understanding of the consensus of this body is that you would be okay.
We talked about that last work session.
I think
Yep.
we did,
It just
yeah.
only-
I think it's a good idea.
I do too, yeah.
Because
It just makes
somebody
sense,
wants to
so-
build a larger building, then they don't have to
Yeah.
fight
Yeah.
and start over again.
Certainly,
It
certainly.
makes it easier to market those lots too, and somebody knows from the front side whether they can do what they want to do with their proposed business or not. And they can
Absolutely.
adjust their square footage accordingly.
Absolutely, and one of the other items, and that's actually next, is increasing the lot coverage that you can build on, especially if a person is going to be joining 2 or 3 lots together and we're allowed to increase. You don't have those side setbacks anymore in the interior of those lots, so it definitely makes sense in my mind to allow for 65% lot coverage. It's only more beneficial for the business, it's more beneficial for the town from a revenue perspective, and it makes good use of the commercial space that we have here in town.
Makes it easier on the planning commission to BZA as well.
Yep.
You know, it's when businesses and municipalities work together, it's a wonderful thing.
Yep.
Nathan, do you need a caveat out there? You can't combine the 2 zoning?
That's a great
Like
call.
the ones that abut?
So
Oh, you can
B3,
have a one in a, yeah,
You
yeah.
can have a B3 and an M1 connect.
unless it was a B3 zoning use.
That would make sense.
Or it reverts
If you go down,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go down, yeah.
Go
yeah.
But
down.
We can make a note, I made a note of that, and I'll put a parentheses in there to notate that. Thanks, that's a great suggestion. Moving along to section 6, maximum building area lot coverage. We previously indicated that we'd like to seek a 65% building and structures lot coverage. My understanding is there's consensus for that. We've got a lot of businesses that like to have overhangs to allow storage outside, to allow their vehicles under storage, and they shouldn't be prohibited from doing that. 65% still is not going to detrimentally impact, from what I understand, talking to engineers, any runoff detention, as we've got a significant amount of runoff stormwater detention throughout the development. Turning the page to page 12, section 7, minimum front yard. Here what we are proposing is that all B3 lots shall maintain a distance of 30 feet from the building line and the street right-of-way. For lots 1 and 2, that would be on 2 sides. Have also incorporated in here, since those lots are going to be shrunk a little bit by that front yard, that they do be allowed to build their parking lots within 10 feet of the street right-of-way. Definitely open to having that assessed, Mr. Oliphant, if you see of any questions or concerns with that, but would like to minimize that as much as possible so that those folks that are anticipating to be built there, anticipating high use for probably drive-throughs for restaurants and such, that they be allowed to have parking lots as close to the right-of-way as possible to maximize the use of those lots.
You just start running into problems with public utilities at that point, kind of where they want to run all their stuff.
Mhm.
And they're not going to be happy putting it on their parking lot, I imagine.
Okay.
Or that could be a hassle for the future tenant. If they ever need access, they can be running their parking lot.
Sure.
do you envision drive-throughs at that spot? Maybe out by
141st?
First, perhaps, that would be it.
Yeah, that would be it, the high
I
traffic
mean, I can't
area.
imagine that, more than 1 or 2 lots in.
Right, right.
So
It would
it's
just be
probably a
the
moot
front
point
two.
on most lots.
Yeah, just they always are tendency to like in 12 feet of easement on the back side of the right of way.
Yeah.
And that's where they're going to drop it. They don't like doing the rears anymore, so,
Okay. We can certainly up that to 12
yeah.
or more if you would suggest that. And then for M1 zone, minimum front yard would be a distance of 30 feet from the building line and the street right-of-way. For the minimum side yards, and this is where we start to run into some interesting geography with the development, for the B3 zone on any lot abutting any residential zoning district, and I know there's a question of to the west, while those are zoned, I believe, residential, it's county residential. It's not city or town residential. But my clients do want to be cognizant of the fact that we want to be good neighbors with everyone. What we've suggested there is that on B3 lots abutting a residential zoning district, the side yards would have a width of not less than 10 feet, with a strip of planting screening of 5 feet in width, consisting of 50% evergreen materials no less than 6 feet in height to begin with. And obviously, if a person purchased 2 or more adjacent lots, that interior lot requirement would vanish. And then as well, we recognize that on the west side for lots really 2, 3, 4, and 5 there, those are directly abutting that water utility easement. So we need to be cognizant of that easement as well and understand that that has to be that 30 feet. For M1 zoning, there are a couple of the M1 lots that do abut residential. If you look on the map, I think those would be perhaps 15, 16, and 17 at the very northern tip. For side yards, we'd suggest 10 feet, and a similar outline of the plantings, no more than 6 feet in height, and then wave if they're going to have adjacent lots that are joined together. For the rear yards, moving then to section 9, for B3 zoning, what we are suggesting is that there be a setback of 10 feet from the rear of the lots, and that specifically impacts those that are going to be adjacent to the railway. That's 27, 28, 29, and 1. And then for the rear setback for 5, 4, 3, and 2 is kind of an odd duck. Those would have to be 30 feet, recognizing the water utility easement. Now, the one question that I did have, and probably need to dialogue with Mr. Osh on this, or Don, I'm not sure, but there's a 30-foot water easement, but it'd be great for the folks that are just putting in a greenscape, so to speak, is to see if we could use 5 feet into the water utility easement for greenscape, or will that detrimentally impact the access that the town perceives they need for that easement?
That's a water utility question. I don't know what they're gonna say. They're probably gonna say no.
Maintenance would be paid.
Probably not.
But we don't have anything there today, correct? So.
No, that's in there. That's their view.
Oh, is that where they're getting their water from?
The existing.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, the goal is to seek maximize use for the easement, but as well as maximize the use of the space for the folks that are investing into the property. So that was the suggestion that I had, but if it's the perception of the committee that that's a no-go,
Yeah, it'd be a no-go.
we can scratch that. Okay. For M1 zoning, for turning to page 13 for the rear yard, we suggested here 15 feet from the rear lot line. Again, for those lots 6 through 13, that would have to be 30 feet. Again, I've, in the proposal, suggested a 5-foot encroachment into the easement, but we can remove that. And definitely we will remove that. And then again, we're suggesting the 15 feet as well for those lots that are abutting the railway. We recognize there's one corner lot for M1 zoning, so wanted to have this language in there, that for that particular lot, the side yards would be not less than 30 feet, and then the side yard not abutting the street would have a width of not less than 10 feet. Turning next to section 11, M1 lots abutting business or residential or other districts. The question here is how close can we build buildings and structures in the M1 lots? Proposal here is that no building or structure shall be erected closer than 30 feet to any residential or other zoning district. So that would be those lots perhaps 7 and 6, as well as 16 and 17. And then we've also suggested nor shall any M1 parking area be closer than 10 feet to any B3 zoning. That's going to impact 6 and 26. And then would request a green belt or green strip entirely covered by grass, shrubs, or trees with 50% coverage in between M1 parking and any adjacent district. Moving along to height standards, we propose a maximum height standard of 40 feet for both B3 and M1 zoning. Some of the folks that my clients have talked to that are interested in this area have indicated a need for buildings to be of that height, and that's a 10-foot above what our zoning code normally allows. And I think we've got quite a few folks in town that are starting to put up some structures taller than that 30 feet, so this would be consistent with what's going on in that corridor. One of the last items I want to highlight here is on page 14, the open storage. So right now, your zoning code requires, when it comes to B3 or M1, that if someone desires to put something into open storage, you have to come before this body and get approval for that. What we are suggesting here is that open storage be automatically allowed for those uses that are found within the PUD. I've outlined a variety of uses such as trucks, trailers, construction equipment, landscape items, things of that nature. And what we've also proposed here is that any open storage has to have fencing around it. If it's going to be chain link, what we've indicated is you need to have green structures, so to speak, trees, bushes, on the exterior of that, not necessarily required if you're going to have wood or other slatted fencing, and that if your piles are going to be in excess of 15 feet in height, that's not allowed, and any piles of any bulk materials in excess of 8 feet would have to be covered to avoid that substance, if whatever would be stored, if it is dirt or if it is mulch, things of that nature, from being allowed to blow over the fence would have to be covered if you're going to store it in excess of 8 feet in height. So we're trying to be mindful, again, of being good neighbors with the adjacent lot owners, and that's a proposal for open storage. Moving along for design and development standards, for the infrastructure there on page 14, streets would be designed according to existing standards for the town of Cedar Lake. No sidewalks would be required. Street lights would be, I anticipate, all in line with what the town requires. We are suggesting, and I do not know if this is possible, that the street name would be called Railside Street. But again, I don't know if that is possible or not, but we are proposing that.
It probably depends if it lines up with the grid system of the county. And what, it's up to what, who usually does that, police chief?
Fire police.
Yeah.
Fire police?
Right.
So if it doesn't line up with something that's logical,
Right.
you might get your wish.
Okay, we'll continue to ask that question. Moving along to page 15, signage. Prohibited signs, you see there, signs that extend above the roof line, billboards, signs painted or mounted on exterior walls, neon blinking signs. Of note, we would propose underneath section E that each building may have a wall-mounted sign with area not larger than 60 square feet. F, each lot may possess one monument lot sign that's on the front, not in excess of 60 square feet. And then what we are anticipating on the front would be just one monument sign announcing railside development, and that would be not greater than 75
So you called E&F out because you made changes to those from our standard, or?
Correct, just slightly. Very, very minimal.
Gotcha.
Yep. As well as for consistency, the demand would be in there that anyone that does create a sign out front, the structure and materials that it's composed of has to be similar to that what the building is designed with as well. Landscape and maintenance standards, the landscape design standards we're submitting to the existing town of Cedar Lake landscape requirements. Similarly with any infrastructure elements, and similarly turning the page to page 16 on stormwater, easements, and utility services. Is there any questions on what's been proposed so far?
Do you have a section on multi-tenants? I noticed that was in your signage.
I had a section on multi-tenants within the signage section.
Yeah.
Go back to that.
I mean, are you envisioning some of these lots having how many multiple tenants? Are they gonna have suites, or are they gonna have?
It's unknown, perhaps, if you get someone that wants to build a 2-unit within like a B3 and put offices on either side, I could envision that's a multi-tenant use, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in the north suburbs. People that are starting up their business, multi-tenants in one building.
Mm-hmm. Hubs. Yeah.
Hubs, yeah.
Yep.
Tech hubs and things
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful to invite those folks in.
It'd be insane.
Stormwater. You want the town to take over the detention basin?
Yes.
And you want them to be sized for a 10-year release, for a 10-year storm set?
I anticipate that that's the standard that you require, but if you have a different standard,
The 100-year.
okay.
Why do you want the town to take it over?
Yeah, a wide variety of reasons. I guess number one is, in my mind, a commercial development such as this, which has 29 different units, to try to have an association. It's unknown if the existing developer is going to stay there long-term or not. It just creates a sense of continuity and consistency and ensures that it's maintained. That's number one. I think number two is, with the revenue that's going to be developed for the town from 29 units, I think that more than substantiates the maintenance that will go on. I think number three is, not only are these outlots going to assist this particular development, it's going to assist adjacent development. There's been some concerns to date with what goes underneath the railway, items to the east. It's going to assist the development to the west as well, and ongoing development that happens towards 41.
These aren't regional ponds, though. You can't say that they're being developed for the site specifically. They're not regional ponds to benefit looking downstream, so you can't really use that argument. And to my knowledge, we haven't taken over any pond. We haven't been forced to take over in this pond since I've been around, so.
I can envision it from a commercial, so the other industrial park on 41.
Lakeview?
Yeah.
We don't own it.
We didn't take over those.
No.
So they will have to have a game plan to maintain them by their.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
X
They're
number
being
of
built
business owners.
for the development. I don't see how that's a town responsibility, but that's just my take. I mean, I think, from public work-wise, have trouble maintaining parks, mowing lawns and all that. We're understaffed like that.
Yeah.
Let alone to put more on it. It doesn't benefit the town to say, it benefits the development.
Yes and no, because 1, 2, 3, right? Businesses pay 3% of assessed value in taxes.
Yeah.
So a business park brings in more money than a.
Yeah, but you have other businesses.
29 houses
that you don't maintain.
No,
That's
sure.
also taxes, not stormwater fees.
Yeah.
That's paid for out of a separate fund.
True.
There's a lot in this.
But think about it, there's a lot, but this is mostly from our paperwork. You copy and paste it, it looks like.
Yeah, the last couple, yeah. Yep.
It would've been nice to have some highlights right there.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at it for the first time, so.
Yep. Next, what we've got is the development agreement. We want to turn our attention to that. First page is a lot of definitional, so I'll turn our attention to page 2, paragraph 7. The agreement would be here that the developer shall construct the roads, drainage facilities, utilities, and other physical attributes according to the PUD plan. The detention ponds shall be constructed pursuant to the PUD plan. We have proposed that the developer shall post a letter of credit. The amount of the proposed costs amount 100% of the public improvements to secure the construction prior to the recording of the final plat, and request approval that we may immediately complete all the public improvements, including the final surface layer of street asphalt, and once that's completed, we can replace that with a maintenance letter of credit. Now, the other item that's outlined therein in that last sentence, and this is something that can be allowed pursuant to your code, is a reduction of the performance letter of credit. My client anticipates hopefully moving very swiftly on this project, has already been in conference with NIPSCO and other utilities to start getting those items lined up, and recognizing the significant cost of the infrastructure that's going to be put in here, and rather than carry a bond for that entire amount for the duration of the project, we would request that we have the ability to reduce that performance letter of credit by a pro rata amount, reflecting the public improvements that have been done to date, but again, never going less than 25%, which is what your code requires. Maintenance responsibilities, again, we just indicated roads would be dedicated to the town, outlots would be dedicated to the town, then any other agreements here, no sidewalks would be required, no park area or park fees. We would install 3 detention ponds and have the right to seek a direct discharge credit, which is allowed underneath your code. D is a redundancy on the next page, page 3, that we can waive the requirement that 80% of the lots must be constructed prior to the placement of the surface asphalt. And as far as the timeline, what my clients are anticipating is to have all public improvements completed within 18 months. at you tonight.
No, it's good, it's in black and white. We can peruse it.
We can mark it up.
See what you think, so.
Okay.
That's good.
I will make the changes, some of the prelim changes based upon what's been shared already tonight, and then I will get that shared with the team tomorrow. And then I will look to coordinate, if that works with Mr. Austin's office, time to meet with you and staff and start working through these things and any concerns, questions that are had, so.
Are you looking to be ready, and when are you looking to be ready to have this for approval?
I'd love to say at our next public meeting, I recognize, however, that everyone is seeing this for perhaps the first time this evening, that there's a lot of due diligence that has to happen. It would be great from a timing perspective if we could strive to accomplish this for approval in our January meeting.
Well, I thought you were gonna say before the frost is out of the ground.
Maybe we won't get frosted.
Yeah, no frost.
I like it. I think the question that was brought up regarding drainage and ownership or not, with where we're located to Illinois, this industrial business thing will continue along the 41 corridor. So what do other communities that promote commercial do? Do they never take ownership?
I'm not that I'm aware of, I'm sure they do.
It becomes,
It's interesting, actually, it's a good
it becomes such a
debate.
hassle, John. A lot of it becomes, I can think of, when I was on the council, at least twice, the stuff that got dedicated to the town wound up on the tax sale. We lost a retention pond subdivision
Well,
somewhere.
think about Kennedy Avenue going north of Cherville, think all those industrial buildings built there. You know, for example, are those all individual retention, detention? On Maryville off of Bird,
I'd have to check quick.
you know, south of 30,
Majority of
that's what
our
I'm
residents.
envisioning. I wonder what other communities are doing for that. Because ultimately, who takes care of it? And if the town doesn't take ownership, it gets neglected, in my opinion,
Well,
and then creates problems later on.
Every development has to put together an O&M plan.
Okay.
For storm sewer, for the storm sewer management part of their development that they maintain, that they own. And it essentially says you will maintain this, or we will maintain it for you, and then we will lien you. So there is some teeth to that. There's some teeth now in what we require on plats for residential to make sure that HOAs maintain it in perpetuity, because some HOAs go defunct and there's an issue. But, you know, we try to avoid that. Because you know how many detention basins we have in town?
Lots.
You know how many more we're gonna have? Lots. So,
Makes sense.
that's just my opinion.
Okay.
And Nathan, if you have this in Word, obviously, can you distribute it in Word?
Yes, I'll shoot it to you tomorrow. Yep,
Thanks.
very good.
John already sent it to you.
You did? Okay, never mind.
That was ahead of me. All right, thanks all, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I caught
So
that.
confused. Okay, update items. Building regulations and fee amendments. We're gonna have a little tutorial on that. Or just the zoning stuff.
We're nearing readiness for working with you all on this update information.
Okay,
Been a little busy.
I can imagine. 133rd Commercial Corridor Moratorium.
More to come. Soon.
Summer Winds Unit 1 Performance Letter of Credit expires February 15th, 2023.
Hey, Jack. Did you ever get a hold of Dinga? Yeah.
And I believe Ashley did also, so.
Because 1 and 2 are due to be pulled on the 10th?
I
Ninth?
think next Tuesday.
Oh.
Coming
up quick.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's the 13th,
Yeah, it was.
because we set it 7 days before the first one, so it's the
I'll
13th
send a
for you to
reminder
do it.
again tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And that'd be, good, all right, I'll go collect.
Nice meeting you.
Let's go collect the money.
So there's no
update.
Cedar View Performance Letter of Credit expires February 15th, 2023.
They haven't started the project yet.
Their permit finally finished up today, so the permit is now finally ready. There's been a few snags in getting the permit ready. So I will reach out to Berger and tell him more than likely he'll need to extend.
Yeah. I mean, their improvements are limited to the frontage, so we could build this frontage and get out of it if we wanted to. But I imagine it'd do it all at once, so.
Mr. Chairman, and Chris, you know, actually what they had mentioned with they still want to apply for the credits, but yet they want us to own the responsibility. It's cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
You gotta take one or the other. And I think on this, if we on the 41 Park made them continue to take care of it, and they get the credits, then that's they own it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Can't have it both.
Can't have it both.
Yeah, no.
It's double dipping in a way.
It is double dipping.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, because we need the money to either
Yeah.
maintenance it, or you take the credits and you.
Because they're storing it. Makes
Also,
sense.
reminder to the commission members, we do have an executive session following this.
Okay. Well, we got through that hour and a half quicker than I thought we were. When I was looking at the agenda the other day, I was like, this could be a long meeting, but
Well, some went pretty well.
I would say always continue to throw out warning shots to us on Wednesdays when it starts at 6.
I will
Because
try
it's
and,
so unusual after 10 years of not being here until 7. And sometimes I'm driving into town or Greg is, so I think it would be helpful for the next few months.
I'll start making sure that
If you don't
when I
mind.
send out that Friday packet to make sure I put in a reminder.
Yeah, just
that
remind.
Work sessions are good.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
I think Cliff says that too, doesn't he, when he sets
Yeah,
up that
I-
Zoom thing?
The Zoom thing says it. That's good.
Blinking
Yeah.
clock on it.
Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing none, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.